Hello sir, I'm Sandabanu Dr. Rajamani, metric number 275482. Our topic is current issue and challenges related to Islamic banking based on concept of riba and profit in Islamic finance. Well, as a first presenter, I'm starting with the introduction. The Islamic banking growth story continues to be encouraging, with the sector growing at a rate that is 50% faster than the broader banking industry. Saudi Arabia, Iraq and Malaysia are nations where Islamic banking is prominent in the financial industry and their economies are growing. In terms of numbers of clients and market share, Islamic banking remains behind the conventional banking system and must make more effort to become a market leader. A significant proportion of individuals are unfamiliar with Islamic banking and its potential. Apart from its global appeal, the concern and problem confronting by Islamic banking industry must be properly identified so that policymakers may deal with them effectively. Current issue: the majority of Islamic bank function on istiana by muazzal, by salam and by murabaha. Sharia compliant Islamic bank like to operate on the markup or guarantee profit basis. As a result, traditional economists and the general public frequently misunderstand the true difference between the Islamic and conventional banking. Investment modes are good in musyarakah and mudarabah, yet Islamic bank do not go these two ways because there is no comprehensive analysis and study and no genuine attempt to implement the two most stated above, but the fractionalized cite the following factor, which are: there is a scarcity of devoted sponsors who can exert pressure on the professional. There is a scarcity of dedicated entrepreneurs. There is a scarcity of dedicated professional capable of innovating. And the last one is there is a deficiency of competent experts. The first current issue is foreign bill purchase, also known as inland bill purchase. Another issue with Islamic bank is that exporters ask the bank for funds before the bill mature in order to cover their daily needs soon after the items are exported. The bank needs to invest billions of PKR per year above, but how and in what investment mode? There is both conventional and Islamic export refinance in Pakistan, but there are certain problems like risk management and liquidity differences in Islamic and conventional markups. The second issue is that unfamiliarity with the Islamic banking system. The first problem is that although Islamic banks have grown over the past 30 years, many in the Muslim and non-Muslim world do not comprehend the true significance of Islamic bank. The essential idea is obvious that making money out of money is forbidden to Islamic law and that the trade and ownership of actual goods should accumulate wealth. Nevertheless, the definition of what constitutes Islamic product do not appear to be the same, or there is no Islamic banking definition. One of the main difficulties is the Sharia Council of Boards of various Islamic banks determine what Islamic bank is and is not, and what business can and can't accept, which can complicate risk assessment for the banks and its customer alike. Uncertainty about what constitutes Islamic product in general has hampered centralization to this point. This is tough for regulators since they want to know exactly what they are endorsing. Bank will also be burdened by customer formation on new markets.
Absence of liquidity instruments. Many Islamic banks lack instruments of liquidity such as bills from the treasury and other marketable security that can either cover liquidity shortfall or manage excess liquidity. This problem is aggravated by the fact that many Islamic banks operate differently from central banks, and if a liquidity gap exists, central banks will not be able to control or assist Islamic banks. The liquidity management issue therefore needs to be discussed actively, and Islamic banking must be scrutinized by the authorities concerned. Use of advanced technology and media. Many Islamic banks lack the product diversity that is essential to meet their clients' growing requirements. There cannot be overemphasized on the importance of using adequate advanced technology to upgrade product acceptability and diversify their application. With advanced technological potential, Islamic bank must deal with rapid technological change and redesign the management and decision-making structure, and especially implement modern technology in their operation. Many Islamic banks lack the technical expertise and institutional capacity equipped to support our research and development, not only to achieve their full potential, but also for their very survival in this age of fierce competition, sophisticated markets and informed public. Without dynamic and continuing program, Islamic banking can only stagnate and wither. Moreover, the media are not used appropriately by Islamic banks so far. It is not even clear to Muslims that Islamic banking is practical throughout the world. Islamic banks have never been able to publish their activities with effective media. These issues should be addressed as a priority by the authorities concerned in Islamic bank. Need for professional bankers. There is no need to emphasize the need for professional bankers or managers for Islamic bank. Some banks are currently run by the owner himself or by managers who have not exposed themselves to Islamic banking and are not aware of traditional banking methods. As a result, many Islamic banks cannot confront challenge and thought competition. Professionalism is necessary in banking practice so that competent bankers commit to their profession, improve their management capacity. Because Islamic banking professionals have to face greater challenge as they need a better understanding of industry, technology and business management that they entrust to their customer. The moral and religious consequence of your investment in business must also be understood. Banking professionals also need to be adequately trained in Islamic bank and finance. In conventional economy, most bank professionals have been trained. They lack the division and conviction necessary for Islamic banking effectiveness. Blending of approach of Islamic scholars with the approach of the conventional bankers, due to the nature of their jobs, they have to be pragmatic or application-oriented. In the Islamic banks, there is and will be a trend to mold or modify Islamic principles to comply with the transaction requirements. In addition, they find little time or willingness to do research, which may make a significant contribution to Islamic banking, immersed in their work everyday banking. Islamic scholars, on the other hand, typically have a normative approach to Islamic banking and finance research, i.e., they concern themselves more closely. Very few of them are familiar with banks or with customer needs. Prospect. Islamic banking prospects are very brilliant. Islamic banking is something that Muslims everywhere want. As an example, Pakistan consists of a network of 21 Islamic banks, of 5 full Islamic banks and 16 conventional banks with independent Islamic branch by the end of December 2017. The network consists of 21 Islamic banks. By the end of December 2017, the total of number of Islamic bank branch wide to 111 districts and had reached 2,581 branch. In all countries, the position may not be the same. However, if Islamic banking succeeds in every country, in each Muslim country, the position will be the same. This means that every country first Islamic bank should be well run and successful, so that people have confidence in this system. Established Islamic banks should cooperate in the development of new Islamic banks by lending competent officials. The above problems are not unbeatable. More research and dedicated effort can be used to solve the majority. In Islamic banking, finance and economic affairs, more resource should be put into research by IDB and the OIC Fiqh Academy, International Islamic Banking Organization and individual Islamic banking organization. Cooperation between central banks and government in certain areas will be needed.
Interest rates are used to regulate demand in modern finance. The use of interest rate is now often used in the banking system to multiply profit. Islamic economists do not agree with the interest rate method. In fact, they prefer for a better way, which is a Sharia-compliant alternative. Islamic economists argue that banks are more concerned with a profit through productive investment rather than from interest rates. Interest rates are not allowed because they have a very high usury element and oppress others, especially the poor and low-income groups. Instability in market demand and supply. The use of this usury element, which is now increasingly active in the market, especially the banking system, will affect the demand and supply in the world market. Each usury value will charged on a good or service will be calculated and evaluated by the customer. As a result, the customer do not want to take any high risk and demand will decrease. This will cause the supply in market to be greater than the demand. Reduce circulation of wealth. Wealth measurement is now a mainstay in a country. The more rich people live in the country, the more they wait for the country to move forward. But now, with the increasing use of usury, it is also affecting the lower classes such as ordinary people. In the banking system, the usury element must be used to multiply profit, and those who deal with and engaged in usury will become poorer. This is what causes the wealth and poverty gap to widen in a country. Therefore, the element of usury should be eliminated to stabilize the gap that occurs in normal operations through the subordinate.
Any transaction involving an interest will inevitably damage one of the two parties. This is basically a game of chance which is also forbidden by Islam. Muslims view interest as a modern riba equivalent, that it is unreasonable or unfair income. No matter what the circumstances, Muslims view the concept of interest rate as in fact unfair to the lender or recipient. High interest rate. Since interest rates that are too low will also detrimental to lenders. Muslims believe that interest rates are not conducive to a fair distribution of income. All transactions involving interest necessarily endanger one of the parties. This is basically a game of chance which is also forbidden by Islam. Earning is not based on whether the capital was yours or not. It is not acquired or acquired, and it comes from an imaginary source. Muslims reject profits that have absolutely no real value to society or the real world. Riba forces debtors and indirectly society to take financial risk. This indeed leads to an unfair distribution of income and ensure that people who already have capital make money regardless of their investment or business. An example of the adverse effects of interest rate manipulation is the global financial crisis in 2008 and 2009. We see usury not only as an oppressive practice but also involving the exploitation of those in need. Short sign money. Riba-based investment encourage purposeless and short-sighted investment rather than channeling investment into visionary and meaningful success. Peter Thiel, PayPal founder and leading venture capitalist, explains in his book 0 to 1 how a usury-based economic system can be worked. No one in the chain knows what goes into the real economy with money. Unlimited money is more valuable than anything you can do with it.
There are many challenges to be faced when it comes to riba and profit. Among the challenges faced is to introduce their product to the community. With the confidence they have in themselves, they need to convince the product they market to benefit the community. Socials often think Islamic banking service are just the same as other banking service like conventional banking. They need to get rid of the relation in social. Social thinks that Islamic bank are the concept of profit to replace the word riba in the implementation of interest-free banking and fixed return activity. Other challenges that need to be faced is that the legal, law and governmental system provide less support from some Islamic banking charities except Iran, UAE, Malaysia and Pakistan, which do not have legitimate government support in Islamic banking. For example, the Ideological Court states riba is illegal and as-Islamic in Pakistan and has raised awareness that riba brings the advantage and has an advantage in profit in Tanzania, as they cannot state if riba is illegal nationally. Next, face the problem of the absence of regulatory bodies that play an appropriate role in Islamic principle to work in Islamic financial institutions in non-Muslim countries. In addition, there is a lack of expert, shareholder, experienced banker and trained employers to manage matters involving principal in Islamic banking project, and they lack Sharia lawyer in the Islamic financial industry. Islamic banking has only limited knowledge in Islamic law. Therefore, Islamic bank need Muslim scholars who enable them to integrate standard Islamic operation in Islamic bank, help increase public understanding of Islamic bank, and spread Sharia knowledge among non-Muslim by holding campaigns. Another challenge is the less uniform standard of credit analysis. Islamic banks face the problem of the absence of appropriate standard for their credit analysis. Therefore, they need to pay higher attention in this context. The Islamic microfinance system is of banking among the middle class and below should be promoted to them to organize professional and low-cost products. Another challenge faced by Islamic banking is based on asset-based financing. For example, to make a profit, the individual invests through asset. Islamic bank flow the way conventional banks do, not following the theoretical principle of integrated income. So they rely on the liquidity of the company they invest in, such as investing in working capital, real estate, stock and assets. In a nutshell, Islamic bank need to effective strategy to make this challenge so that they can go to every individual around the world. Islamic banking does not take long to grow quickly and be able to compete with the conventional banking system. Even though Islamic banking is behind as Islamic banking will strive to address this challenge to achieve this success. Both the government and the management of Bank Islamic will expand the same scope if they improve the existing system and will progress in the future.
Okay, well, I'm continuing with the last part, which is conclusion. Riba elimination in the banking system is an essential aspect of Islamic business concept. This system management and workers are obligated to run their business in accordance with the Islamic business principle as well as to the standard goal of surplus maximization. These values include equity, justice and honesty as prescribed by Allah and followed by Allah's Prophet. Islamic banking is seeking to balance income and expenditure in order to maximize social benefits in the course of doing business. It is important to emphasize that income should be legal in Islam. When it comes to spending well, it instructs its adherents to spend for the common goods than wasting or misusing it. Islamic banks and its customers have a business partner connection rather than a borrower-lender connection. Several Muslim thinkers have emphasized the need of directing resources toward the poorest segment of society in order to better their economic prospect in accordance with Islamic socio-economic aims, since Islamic banks commit to work under a fundamentally different ideology. Some of the above mentioned purpose and functions of Islamic banking system may be argued to be the same as those of the conventional banking system. Although there is an apparent similarity, the focus is really significantly diverged from the difference between the two systems in the spiritual idea, socio-economic justice and human fraternity, because Islamic aims and objectives are an integral component of ideology and of its religion. That's all from us. Thank you.